Hello and welcome to the podcast. I am, as
Hello.
always, joined by Falcon Paladin, who I would describe as most perturbatory.
Yes, I think you should. That is an excellent word to describe me.
Especially since you're mysteriously needed yesterday off and wouldn't give me any reasons why. I mean,
Thinking about mysterious. Give me a break.
hey, all I know is that last-minute flights to DC opened up on the company credit card.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
The Falcon Paladin Hour company credit card did take a pretty big hit yesterday. And
It did
I will make
actually.
no excuses for my actions.
It did actually, yeah.
Oh yeah, because of the Vegas trip, or not the Vegas trip, the DC trip, and the Vegas trip.
No, because the promotional shirt that we're selling in order to raise money for a community member's GoFundMe,
Yes.
all of the printing costs, despite so the way it works, I guess we're doing a little bit of behind the scenes talk, is PayPal takes a bunch of, not PayPal, well sometimes PayPal, Shopify takes everyone's money and holds it to the end of the month, and then the place that prints the t-shirt bills me immediately. So,
Oh.
yeah.
Instantaneous debt. Yeah.
Yeah. So, on the one hand, I didn't have any outstanding debt on that credit card, so there's plenty of limit. And on the other hand, people are buying the shirts, which means we'll be able to donate to the GoFundMe.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I think that's a
That's
thumbs up.
fantastic. Yeah, that's great news. Yeah. Dolaville, great StarCraft fan, great person, a lot of terrible medical issues, and spent the last 3 years in the hospital, and now she's home, but she has new handicaps, and so needs help situating the home for her new situation and bad stuff like that. So yeah.
Is it for Dolaville?
Yeah.
I did not
No,
know.
did I say Dolaville?
You
Am I saying Dolaville?
You said Dolaville, and I'm like,
Son of a gun. It's a Leave It to Reaver. My brain, I don't know what it is. Because, I guess it's because they're both, just really positive, constant people on the stream. And my brain just kind of puts them in the same box. I'm like, oh, I'm happy to see it all of you. I'm happy to see Leave It to Reaver.
Right.
Both their names have L's in them?
Are they both Canadian?
No. I can't even go with that, tragically.
Okay.
Wait, is Dolaville Canadian? I can't keep track of my Canadians. There are too many Canadians.
Well, you're all North American to me, so.
Right. Right? Anywho, whatever. Right. So we're here to talk about the Warhammers.
Yeah, in lieu of anything ever coming out about StarCraft and the professional scene, we're just left with Warhammer. Which, not the end of the world.
No, not the end of the world. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, you said that we should just be patient about new StarCraft 2 professional events being announced. How are we now? Are we still just in, we're expecting it, we just need to be patient?
Honestly, I'm looking at my watch and calling time.
Oh, you're calling time right now. This very second. Okay.
No, I mean, I don't mean literally right now. I think retroactively we'll go back and call whatever the end of the last tournament was, and that's time of death, right?
Oh,
for official major tournaments. I think maybe. I'm looking pretty pessimistic. Still love the game. Still keen for community tournaments, but I don't think we'll ever see a prize pool over 100,000 ever again. I'm feeling down on it.
100,000's pretty awesome. You say that, and I'm like, yeah, only 100K.
I mean, yeah, 100K.
I thought you were gonna say $1,000. I was like, yeah, wow, that is over, definitely.
No, because Pig will do a community, he'll do a subathon or whatever, and it'll be a $5,000 prize pool there. That doesn't. You and I differ on what makes a major tournament. We've had this debate many times. You think it's just prize money? I don't. So.
Fair.
Yeah.
So basically, Microsoft takes over, and that's the end of it. Microsoft is like,
yeah,
fuck StarCraft 2. We're not funding any of those big events for them anymore.
I guess, yeah. Dicks.
Yeah, that sucks. They only have $800 billion.
Yeah, Bill shut the gate on it.
He's not even at Microsoft anymore.
I don't know who is. That's the problem.
Me neither. Who the? Okay, CEO of Microsoft. The Google man says Satya Nadella
Oh, okay. Yep.
as of February 4th of last year. So like brand friggin' new.
Yeah. Okay.
He succeeded Steve Ballmer
Right.
and John W. Thompson.
Okay.
Yeah, so Ballmer left in 14, and now he owns the Clippers and the NBA, and John W. Thompson took over. Whatever, it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Satya Nadella.
Do you think he's
Screw
got
you, Satya.
What do you think his gamer score is on Xbox Live?
Yeah, right. I don't know.
Yeah.
His latest post on X is congratulating Trump and Vance on their historic inauguration. I don't know. Historic.
I mean, all inaugurations are historic.
Okay, so in that sense,
Yeah. It's
gonna be in a history book.
it's a very low bar, in my opinion.
Yeah. Okay. So like damning with faint praise.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
He's like, I need to make it look like I'm cozying up, but really, I'm not saying anything too complimentary.
Well, I mean, if we want to get political, I mean, given that this guy, I didn't know his name, and now I've seen his picture, he's the only one I haven't seen sitting in the front row at the inauguration out of all the big tech giants.
That's true. He wasn't there. I bet they invited him.
I bet they invited him with a paycheck, to like a blank check, please fill in the requisite number of zeros and you get an invitation, because they all paid to be there.
What? I mean, I guess. How much do you think it was?
I heard news reports that like they were all donating at least $1 million to get there. Like Mark Zuckerberg did 500,000, and then Jeff Bezos did $1 million, so he did like another 500,000. Yeah.
Okay, that's funny.
Yeah, like $1 million was the milestone that I heard being talked about.
But I mean, this stuff was donated during the campaign, right? It wasn't.
No, it was after he had won. It was specifically for the inauguration events and like a parade or something and stuff like that. I don't know. When you move it indoors, it costs money, I guess. So
I don't think it would.
Look.
Anyway, whatever. Doesn't really matter. So yeah, Satya was not there. Maybe he is not in on this whole thing. Intriguing.
Maybe.
Huh. Okay, whatever. Anyway, yeah, that happened. President Trump is back in office. Second non-consecutive term, which is weird, but has been done in the past. Yeah, that's about it. There's a lot we could talk about there, but I don't know. How much you want to get into it?
I mean, we
You
can.
want to talk about Warhammer?
I would rather go live in Warhammer than talk about.
Yeah, I mean...
Well, maybe not. I would love. I'd rather go live in Warhammer. Yeah. I'd rather go live in Warhammer, but where I'm like a noble at a spire that has a very peaceful population, and no inquisitors ever come visit.
Right. Some planet that's out of the way of everything.
Yeah. Or just like with the Tau, maybe. They're nice. Ish.
I don't have any experience with the Tau, Omicron. We haven't written any Tau books.
No. We will.
I get my information about the Tau from Grimdank, the subreddit, that it's just like, here are Tau. And I'm like, I don't think I have the context to understand this comic very much.
So I think I can summarize all of the information you have with the Tau in like a few sentences. One, they're blue. Right?
Correct. Blue.
Two,
got it.
Female Tau prefer human men. That's.
I did not know that.
Nope.
Okay, good.
No,
information
that's
gathered.
That's not true, but that's what Grimdank would tell you. Like.
Oh, dang it.
That is a meme I saw.
Falsehoods being added to my brain.
I saw that like yesterday, and I'm like, oh, that's a repost. Cool.
That sounds like Reddit, though.
Yeah. Let's see, what else is there? You've maybe seen a post about the time they captured a dreadnought, thinking it was like their battle suits, and it's like, it's an automaton, right? And they cut it open, and they find a warrior older than their entire civilization, like a corpse buried, strapped inside. You know?
I think I did see something about that. Yeah, that sounds familiar.
Those are like the three things you'll know about the Tau from Grimdank. Yeah.
Yes.
We will get there. I don't think I've read any first-hand Tau books, but there is a couple of books that have Tau characters, and you'll get a bit out of that. We'll get to them.
Okay, sounds good.
Yep.
Anyway, Warhammer.
So what did we read this week?
Xenos.
Yeah.
Which, again, the most generic book titles in the history of mankind.
No, I disagree.
Okay, cool. I'm just saying. It's like I read the Warhammer book Xenos, and it's like, when was it set? Is it part of a collection? Is it 30K or 40K?
So
I don't know, man. You could put it literally anywhere in the Warhammer canon, and it would fit perfectly.
I
It's
mean,
like naming a book Legion.
okay. Well, two things. One, Legion. There aren't legions anymore. So
Right, so it would fit anywher in 30K.
Right.
Fine. Anywhere in the Horus Heresy, you could have a book named Legion.
also, this is also by Dan Abnett, who wrote Legion.
Correct. Correct.
Third,
Do you think he gets to pick at his title? So he's like, one word, super generic Warhammer word, go.
So, okay, in context, let's give some historical background for those who don't know. This book was written as a companion novel to the Inquisitor game, the tabletop RPG from the early 2000s, and was vastly more popular than the tabletop game. Like, the book is considered the definitive entry point into Warhammer 40K. So when
That's funny.
I guarantee you could talk to any Warhammer person who's read a book and go, "Have you read Xenos?" They know exactly which book you're talking about because it was written to be the companion to Inquisitor, so it's the Inquisition Order Xenos. Right? Those are the three Orders Majoris. Xenos, Malleus, Hereticus, which is the next titles of the two books in this series.
I mean, sure, makes sense.
So,
I can follow that logic.
You know, it maybe singularly you feel a bit that it's a bad title, but collectively they make sense.
Okay, fine.
Yeah. Anyway, so that's history for this book.
Yeah.
Xenos.
Xenos. The pacing, Somicron.
It's zippy.
The pacing.
Now, would you say that
Like
the pacing...
telling the story in 30K would have been like 3 books. It would have been 3 books.
It would have been 3 books.
It would have been 3 books.
Do you feel like this book was written like it was a tabletop campaign?
Yes, 1,000,000,000%. I said this to you on Friday during our StarCraft 2 stream. I was like, this feels like a video game. And you know, a lot of similarities there to a tabletop. Yeah.
A little bit. Yeah. So it is a very inquisitorial, like, investigation. Like, it is a detective novel, basically, that happens to take place on some battlefields. Like, we get some Astartes, but this is not a war novel, and you've just read a bunch of war novels. That's very different, I imagine.
Yes. No, totally. And, like, I had to go back into 40K mind where it's like, they say this in the book, too. It's like most people never see a Space Marine. They go their entire lives. Their children go their entire lives. Their grandchildren go their entire lives and never see a Space Marine. They are myth from a bygone era during the Horus Heresy. They're all gone now. There's a few of them left. You'll never see one. So you see one and, like, your mind explodes.
Well, certainly if you see a Chaos Marine.
Right, especially.
Like Madragora, is that his name? Madragoras?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, we'll get to it. But yeah, so Space Marines are very rare. We do see a couple of friendly ones by the end of the book, working with
some Death Watch. I was like, I know, I've heard the name Death Watch before.
Yeah, so are they going to cover what the Death Watch are? Not really. So Lieutenant Titus in Space Marine 2, he was a Death Watch member for a while. Basically, Space Marines can do like a gap year at the Death Watch Academy and earn like a silver shoulder plate that they can take back to their chapter. That's really kind of it. They're a chapter on standby for the Order Xenos to go and kill demons. Not demons, Xenos, because it's for the Order Xenos. But And yet, here they are, fighting a lot of chaos shit.
A lot of chaos shit, yeah. And some Xenos, in fairness.
That is in fairness. There's the made-up Xenos race, the Ceruthi. So I guess that's the tie here, is that, like, the Inquisitors who are investigating Xenos, like, because that's kind of how, like, their jurisdiction falls. Is if you're in Ordo Xenos, you deal with, like, alien shit. I kind of don't get how his like investigation started, because it starts off with him chasing a chaos dude through like to Hubris. And it's like, yeah,
hibernation pod factory, whatever. Yeah.
yeah. There is a planet called Hubris, which gets like 9 months of darkness, so everyone just like hibernates.
And it's like distance from the sun too. It's not just darkness. They like in orbit go far from the sun. Yeah.
So they only get like a month or two of actual light and heat. So they're just like all the nobility just pop into stasis pods for it. And he's chasing a guy who's like a facilitator, is what he's called. And his plan is to wake everyone up early from stasis, and when they die, well, when they come out, they die basically because they're not being woken with like the proper support, I guess is the best way to do it. Like they're all being woken up rapidly or incorrectly, like, and it's awful.
Yeah, there's a process that needs to be followed to drag somebody out of stasis,
and they're not doing it. Yeah,
correct.
Which like, why was the Xenos Inquisitor chasing this? I don't know. The thing to remember with these books and the next couple is that Dan Abnett was inventing all the stuff off battlefield at the moment. Like, he was literally inventing it all because they just never had a need to write any of this. Yep. So, like, we get introduced to another character called Fishig, who is a chastener for the Arbites. Do you know what a chastener does?
I mean, the book explains that a chastener is basically a space cop.
Well, that's what an Arbites is.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
So they belong to the Adeptus Arbites, and they are kind of like a federal level cop, or maybe like a state cop, because the Inquisition are like the feds. So they're like a step up from local police, basically. But a chastener is, I think Dan like maybe invented the position and did not explain what it was, and it wasn't even filled in until like books later, where a chastener is someone who like deals with morale or like torture for like it's they deal with like infractions on like the code BDs or whatever that they have to live by, but also will be like, let's go and torture the people we need to get information out of, you know?
Yeah, so it's the beatings will continue until morale approves method of improving morale.
Well, I mean, they maybe beat the prisoners, maybe they don't beat each other, but, you know, making sure your dress collar's buttoned, you know?
Yeah, of course. That's the important aspect of dress collars and buttons.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of stuff like that that's you're going to find in these books where it's like, Dan's not going to really explain it until like 3 books later, and even then, you don't really need to know. It's a lot of vibes and flavor, and it's good, but it's not. I don't know. It's weird to say there's no substance in the book, because I think there is in the detective work, at least, right? And the mystery. And like
sure, it's a good world build. I think he's a good job being like, here's this world, here's what it is. Here's this alien world, here's what it is. Here's what it's like to travel through the warp for 6 weeks. Like, all that stuff is good. But the characterization is, I'm going to be honest, it is so bad. All these characters are insanely shallow. You get, every once in a while, a bit of characterization, a good conversation will happen between characters. And you're like, okay, cool. I learned something about this character here. But for the most part, man,
right. There's
so bad.
There's a lot of like Gregor Eisenhorn, the Inquisitor, kind of already knows who like Midas Beckencore is, so he doesn't need to like. And the entire book is written as like a journal from Eisenhorn in the future, right? Like it's all from his perspective, and there's no real reason for him to explain who this guy is or where he found him, where he met him, why he was introduced into the service like Fishig was. Because from Eisenhorn, he's just like, he's mine, I've always had him. Like, even with like Uber Amos, he's like, well, yeah, he served Hapshet before me and another Inquisitor before that. So he's like, he's part of the furniture, basically.
Totally.
And like, by the end, when Gregor was like recovering in hospital for a bit, we get a little bit more personable with them, where it's like you find out that Betancourt also plays like a violin, is it?
Yeah, I think so.
It's a musical instrument he plays, and
Yeah.
like Uber Amos will, because he's a savant, and they do explain what a savant is at least. Um, uh, will recite plays and operas and entire books from memory, and
Yeah.
drive Gregor mad. So
Right.
yeah,
And do funny voices
and
make
do
him
funny
laugh.
voices. Yeah,
Yeah, that's nice.
and we do
But
get
like the pilot character, how like several times it's like he kicks ass at flying because he went to this amazing flying academy. And it's
right.
like, yeah, I know you said that already. And it's like here he is doing some awesome kick-ass stuff
Fly-
because he went to that flying academy, and I'm like, I got it, Dan Abnett.
So you're gonna love it in the next book where Dan Abnett goes a little bit harder into Gregor's fighting style with his sword, which stops being a lightsaber, unfortunately. Because in this book he's like, it's a proper one without a blade. It's just a handle, and then you channel space magic through it. And it's a lightsaber.
Right.
in, in later editions of 40k, a force sword is like Loken has one, but he doesn't use it at the end of Siege of Terra. Like he has the Ultramarines force sword, who gives it up to be Grey Knight. I don't know if you remember. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
you can channel psychic bullshit through it to make it extra killy,
Right.
but Logan can't do it. Gregor can do that, but his one doesn't have a blade. It's a lightsaber. He projects his like will through a handle. And that stops being a thing pretty quick. But we do get hit like we're gonna get to learn all of the names of the moves that Gregor will do. He's like, I did the upwards thrul and the backwards quazang and the karkatash to riposte and parry. And it's like, do these words mean anything? No,
Not so much.
not so much. But we're gonna hear about how cool he is at sword fighting. It's great.
All right. Okay.
So we do in terms of characterization, we do get some really interesting conversations with the captain of the ship that they hitch a ride on, the SN, and
That's true.
yeah, Dan Abnett seems to get along well with him, and learning that he's mostly a robot. Spoilers.
I mean, we're talking about the whole book. We got to the end already. What are you talking about? Spoilers.
Just in case people didn't know there were any spoilers, thought I should let them
He
know.
is.
Yeah.
I liked it that our Inquisitor buddy is like. I was curious about like whether all of this robot stuff was like to replace body parts because of injury, or if it was just voluntary body replacement. And he's
Right.
like, but that was personal curiosity. It had no bearing on the investigation, so I didn't ask. And I was like, okay, dude.
Again, I'm going to say the saving grace of this book is that it's written from Gregor's perspective. Gregor is many things. A famous Inquisitor? Absolutely. A writer? No.
No. Nope. Definitely not. And I mean, I talked about this to you before, but basically, it's Dan Abnett, but 20 years in the past, Dan Abnett.
This book
Like,
predates...
Abnett, by the end of the Horus Heresy, has like 1 million books under
Yeah,
his...
this book
under his
predates
whatever.
Horus
Yeah.
Rising. Like,
Yeah.
so we're going way back when Dan was just a young writer with his first commission from Games Workshop. I don't even think that's true, but yeah.
Yeah. So, it's weird for me to go from Dan Abnett writing The End and the Death to Dan Abnett writing Xenos in the year 2000 and being like, this is the same guy? And it is! Yeah. I mean, 20 years is a long, long, long time.
It is. It's definitely a very long time.
Yeah.
20
more than 20 years, right?
Yeah,
Because he's writing End of the Death in like 22 maybe?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Yeah. This book came out May 2001, so it's at least 23 and a bit years old at this point.
Right.
Okay, so,
Well, then there's the untouchable character.
yeah, Elizabeth Beckwin,
Yeah, Beckwin.
who
And
he kind of falls in love with very quickly, except knows it can't work because she's a psycho. Like, well, I say falls in love with. He's like, she's hot.
yeah, but she's not a psyker.
Well, she's a blank.
He's an anti-psyker.
He's a
right.
psycho. Well, yeah, okay. In Imperial
Right.
power level schemes, a blank is just considered like a negative power psycho. So I'm not wrong.
But like, okay.
Yeah, she's a
And
blank.
yeah, and I mean, and a really important weapon on a battlefield if you're fighting psychers.
Yeah.
Obviously, even though it's a passive ability, she can't really do things with it, right?
Well, yes and no. So there are
Can she?
at this point well, she I don't know that she can at this point, right? But there are other books where the Sisters of Silence, who fight along like the Custodies, right? They're
Yeah.
all pariahs as well. That's what this is, to pariah. You've met
Pariah.
them.
They never used pariah in this book. I was waiting for them to say pariah.
No,
But they never did, and I was like,
they just call her a blank. Yeah.
yeah, or an untouchable a few times.
Yeah. So pariahs can do some training to make themselves more pariah-ish, and like extend their field of negation, basically. So there are stuff that they can do,
Okay.
but they're not like. And then as a pariah, I throw a lightning bolt. It's
Right.
It's
Or
I punched you
threw
so
a
hard.
ball, or I created an anti-psyker ball that I threw over here. Like, you can't do that.
No.
You just are a blank space.
Right. You are a
In all
void
this stuff.
in the warp. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, Beckwin can't do that, apparently, because at the end, our guy's like, stay close to me. Like, I need your anti-psyker field, and, like, if you stray off too far, I lose it. So
Yeah.
it's
And
not a big field.
no,
Yeah.
not particularly. Yeah, but we do get like some really nice conversations and like some perspective of that Gregor's like we played they played
Regicide.
Regicide together and
Yeah.
she did voices and like he's like and her voice for the Emperor was damn near heretical. Like
Yeah.
there's some really good color there. That like he's having a genuinely good time and that
Totally.
this book is set over months, and by the end of it, Beckwin, who went from like a pleasure girl, he sort of rescues like a little damsel in distress, and well, I guess 20 years ago, I guess that's how female characters get written. To by the end of it, she's been trained by Fishig for months and is like expertly handling her las carbine and whatnot.
Right.
And is
And
like
that's another thing, is like we go from like pleasure prostitute girl who doesn't know why everything always goes to shit for her because she doesn't know she's a blank,
oh yeah,
Right?
yeah.
to like a kick-ass like military lady who's also a blank. And it's like, I mean, I appreciate that our character did this, but all of it happens off screen. Every bit of it. It's like she's been training with Fishig. It's like she
Has?
is? Oh, when? Like I didn't see any of that.
Right. Well, neither did Gregor.
Right.
It's all from
He
his
didn't
perspective.
either. So I'm just saying, if you're gonna develop a character like this, I'm down with it. But can I get a little bit of a peek of how it's going, right?
I mean, I feel like we get like enough in like animation terms. We get the keyframes, so we get her being helpful on Good Run, where she's basically playing as like an actress who, I mean, and is like high nobility and is like there to negotiate. And it's one of those things where maybe she can't turn off her nullness, but does playing an unlikable spoiled bitch lean into that maybe? It's like
I think so.
And so that when she's like,
Yeah.
bring me all of these like delicacies and spiced tea from Amalapatapla, they're all like, yeah, okay, I'll go get you this freaking rare tea or whatever. But when she's down in like the fighting pits, she kind of has the illusion broken, and again the illusion gets broken again, or at least like, more thoroughly when she first spots the Space Marine. And like Gregor touches on that, but we don't get the training montage in between those things, right? Or after those
Right.
things.
Not at all.
And I don't know, maybe we needed a training montage. I don't know. Knowing that she was also being trusted to like sneak in and talk to Pontius,
Yeah, that was fun.
that like we can, I don't know, I feel like I can just assume that like she was being inducted into the Inquisition. Obviously there's combat training involved.
Totally. I get it. And I didn't push too hard against the fact that she got there. Like, I think that was fine. It's fast. Everything's fast.
Everything's
It is.
fast. Everything's fast.
And I mean, just because you say it took 6 weeks to get there, and we did all this stuff in the meantime, like, doesn't mean it feels like it was 6 weeks to get there. You know?
Right. It's very in Game of Thrones where by the end of
Yeah.
it, I can't remember the game. Theon Greyjoy was like, "I want to go to the north and fight," and then it's like fade to black, and then he's arrived at Winterfell.
Yeah.
It's like that.
Game of Thrones did a lot better communicating distance in the early seasons.
Yeah.
And then by season 7 and 8, it was like, I'm going from the northern part of the continent to the southern continent, and I'm here now. And it's like, but did anything happen on the way? Like, it probably took you a while. And they're like, nope, everything's fine. Oh, man. So, yeah, it's just rushy. I like the story. I like the characters.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're built pretty well. But I just needed more time with them, more conversations.
Yeah.
Because, like, this is the entire story of I'm chasing a random bad guy, and we go all the way to, like, saving the entire galaxy from chaos in one book.
I mean,
so fast.
It's not the entire galaxy. It's it's like a subsector. It's like we saved a couple planets, and potentially. Like, here's the thing: they do end up killing the bad guys essentially at the end, right? Like they shoot a lot of the Saruthi, they destroy the Necrotooch or whatever the book's called, right?
Twice.
But is just destroying the book the saving, or is the fact that they were able to keep that book out of other Inquisitors' hands the saving?
Oh, that was another thing. Are we there? Are we to this part now?
Sure. Let's start. We're just jumping all over the place. It's fine.
We are. Okay, so he destroys the first copy of the Necronomicon.
Mm-hmm. Well, no, don't. That is another book in world. Like, you can't use that one.
Oh, damn it. Okay, remind me what the name is one more time.
The Necrotooch.
Necrotooch. Oh,
Touche.
it's basically the Necronomicon.
Yeah, fine. Necronomicon. It's fine. Just use it. Necrotooch.
So the Necrotooch, right?
Yeah.
Gets back and they're like, "Where is the Necrotooch?" He's like, "I burned it." And some of the people are like, "Cool, that's what I would have done." And some people are like, "We could have learned so much from this book of unimaginable evil and chaos." And I'm like, "I'll watch that guy real close from now on." And then later, he tortures and murders the one dude that can help them find the other one.
Mm-hmm.
And then the head Inquisitor guy's like, you there, who has a disturbing interest in the Necrotooch, you get to go down to the planet where it is, head an entire team, and I'm sure it'll work out. It'll be fine.
Yeah.
And then, holy shit, he just wants the Necrotooch, and he's willing to kill everybody to get it. Who saw that coming? So pissed off. The Inquisition sucks. They are the dumbest bunch of rocks I've ever seen. Oh, I was so mad.
I mean, yes.
Okay,
Ugh.
fine.
But, like, the Inquisition firmly believes it is capable of housing and studying chaos artifacts, alright? And the fact that this is a book that they've heard about and they know, and there's some of them who want it. Because don't forget, there was 4 more Inquisitors brought on after, like, the fighting pits, right?
Yeah.
2 of them were for it, 2 of them were against, right?
I know. Yep, totally.
So, not, like, there was the one guy who was like, and I'm evil, right? Who's like, obviously evil, right? Like, but there was another one who was like, we could legitimately use this and maybe find a way to use it against people, or at least understand the enemy and how they think.
Yep.
You know?
That guy, I'm not as obviously worried about.
Right.
The other dude, I'm super worried about. And again, if all he had done is just expressed a high level of emotion and concern that the Necrotooch was destroyed and he was pissed off, I'd be like, all right. But then he, without permission, goes and fillets alive one of the prisoners.
Pretty standard interrogation.
Oh, right.
Pretty standard interrogation.
It just kills him.
Just kills
Just
him.
straight up, just
Right.
peels all the skin off and he dies.
It's a very getting to the witness before they can speak kind of a move, right?
Yes, 100%. And then the head inquisitor's like, he has to purge and clean out the cathedral after the chaos incursion. That's a whole different thing.
Right.
And then our hero's like, I thought he got off too easy. And I was like, he sure as hell did. 100% he got off too easy. And he's just put back into a position of power immediately, apparently. So,
Right. Well,
awesome.
that's the thing. There's a lot of rules in the later books about like how do you like I don't know, defang an Inquisitor, because
Yeah.
there's like Lord Rawkin, he's the Inquisitor Lord there, and that's like an official title. He's their boss, essentially.
Yes.
But you need 3 Inquisitors to agree to make another Inquisitor, because like at the end, Commodore Voke is like, my apprentice Haldane is the best I've ever trained. Who, I don't know about that, dude. That guy does nothing. He gets punched by a bear and goes down. You know, for an Inquisitor, that's
Pretty
not
much.
very impressive.
Right.
He like is a drug dealer for Gregor, and he's like, I want that in your system, you know, and then dies, except doesn't. It is kind of fun. I need to look. Hold on, I need to look up another book real quick.
All right.
Okay, so there is another book called First and Only, which we will read eventually, right? There are a series of Imperial Guard books called Gaunt's Ghost. The first one is First and Only, and I believe an Inquisitor Haldane appears in it. So we find out later that when Voke's on like his deathbed, and he's like, I want you to help elevate my apprentice to Sith Lord status. And then like Gregor's just like, I thought he would be dead within months. He went on to live for another 153 years.
I was like, nice.
It's really funny.
It is.
So, yeah, Haldane as an Inquisitor appears in that book, and it's just Dan referencing a character from another book that he wrote.
Fine, Dan. Whatever you want to do.
Yeah, which,
Yeah.
I mean, that's a good book. We should read that. Anyway, what else is there?
I just want to say I appreciate it was good to be back in the 40K realm where regular human troopers are important and like kind of awesome and incredibly brave.
Right, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Because a lot of 30K is just Space Marine against Space Marine or Space Marine against Chaos, and it's like, okay, like you're built for this. You're big and strong and like genetically inhuman to the point that you can handle this.
True.
But there's like regular dudes, you drop them in here and it's like, good luck, man. Like I appreciated that. It was good to see some more of that.
Yeah. Good Run is going through like it's like a festival for founding a new guard regiment, the 50th Gudronite Rifles. So they're like an infantry regiment, and by the end of it, Gregor was like, "No, those are the guys I want with me because they've seen the crazy bullshit that we're about to go experience. Like they'll already have their feet under them. What they lack in combat experience, they make up for with like experience in the terrain that we're going to." Yeah, which we actually see them being more effective than Space Marines. There's a distinct line where it's like the Space Marine was letting loose with his Stormbolter, blowing up all of the pottery, and even the youngest man for the Gudronite Rifles had already killed 3. You know?
Right. They'd already adjusted to the Xenos shit that's going on where they were.
The crazy Xeno.
And the Space Marine was still adjusting. Right.
Yeah.
That said, when the Chaos Marine shows up, it's nice to have a Space Marine, loyal Space Marine around.
That's true. That's true.
As good as they are, there are some limits here. There's a good line in there too, where it's like, yeah, they're afraid and they're out of sorts and not sure what's going on, but they just need to get focused. They need someone to tell them what they're fighting for, right? And that they're doing the right thing, and then they're ready to go.
Yeah.
Yeah, like they're about to run, but if you give them reason to stay, they'll stay.
Right. These are brave men. They're just confused because that time was the like the first like their first real deployment, and they had actually been deployed from a captain who has like turned traitor in the Navy and like
Right.
stolen the regiment, and like they were took their chance to flee when they realized that the captain was basically into some really fucked up Xeno shit, and they
Yep.
basically kind of run across Gregor, and he gives them a reason to like stick around and do their duty to the Emperor.
Yep.
Yeah.
And like sneak back into the regiments and just like pretend everything's fine,
Right.
and then when the right moment happens, start shooting everyone.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
Classic tactics. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I think I've pretty much said all my thoughts about it. What's good? What's kind of iffy?
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
like, what I have to say about the book is, I think listening to this as an audiobook, the fact that it's written in like the first person gives it a very
Yeah.
personal vibe that I'm sure you don't get just reading.
I mean, it's definitely different. Like from the first person perspective for any book. I mean, makes it feel kind of, yeah, it's different obviously than a third person or a whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and I've seen interviews with Dan Abnett where he said he like would write it differently today. I don't know that he has any plans to go back and rewrite novels. That's not like a thing people do.
Nah.
Like, there's no HD remaster of a book.
But someone's done it.
Oh,
No
cool.
real need to do it here. I
No
don't
real
think
need.
So.
Yeah. So, but I do look fondly on this book as the setup for the next two, right? And I am saying that this is I did tip my hand that this is a trilogy. The next book we're going to be reading is Malleus. Also by Dan Abnett, so you can go ahead and pick that up. But
Okay.
Dan Abnett calls it the Inquisition cycle, or the Inquisitor cycle, and so after that there is another trilogy, and then after that there's another trilogy.
Okay.
Some of these characters from this book will stay on into the next series, and then some from that will continue on to the next one. And so I mostly, it's like when I went back to read the start of the Horus Heresy, having already finished it with you, I got to go, oh look, here's Horus and Gaviel, and oh look at all the setup they're doing that I can't talk about because they appear like 50 books later and getting stabbed by Erebus,
Right.
This book, it's rough around the edges, but I think it sets up some really cool shit. Basically.
Yeah, like I said, the world build, I was in on it. Like all the stuff they're talking about, it's cool. I like the concept that Pontius is effectively this like chaos infested
Right.
lord of a planet, of this house on a planet, and he's like, they dumped his consciousness into a machine, and he's been like hanging out for
Yeah.
the last few centuries,
Centuries.
like waiting to get a body back, and he's like, this sucks.
Yeah. Yeah. Which
And then
also,
they abandoned him. Like like his
Oh,
family
right.
was like, "There's something more important that happens. We're
Well-
just like, screw you, man. We can get the necrotouch." Like,
Yeah.
wow.
it's like giving, which is interesting because they're like, we can go to get the true matter, which is the Necrotouch, but there's no reason they couldn't send the little ball thing off to what's the name of the planet? Hubris, to go, because like the point of like,
Yeah.
what the guy was doing was he was going to kill all the people in hibernation to like use their soul energy to reforge Pontius Glora body.
Right.
But they didn't need Pontius Glora to go get the Necrotouch. They could have done both.
Right. I don't know if they were just like, we're waiting to find out where the necrotouch is, and in the meantime, we might as well restore Pontius's body.
Right.
And then the necrotouch comes up, and they're like, "Up, peace, see ya." That's what I feel like happened.
Yeah.
Which is
So,
very funny.
here's a question for you. What
Okay.
happened to Pontius Glora by the end of the book?
Right? Great question. No idea.
They've just kept him on the SN this entire time.
Yeah. I like how they tricked him. That was good.
Oh, yeah. That was good. I don't, how, I don't know. Again, it all happens off screen. It's like they tricked him. That's
Sure
great.
does.
What exactly did he offered the pariah, like back when was like, I'll free you if you tell me what you want,
Yeah.
but how? Why? They're stuck in the warp. What's she gonna do? What did she offer him?
Oh.
Like, what could she actually give him in that moment that he would be like, yeah, I'll tell you about the Necrotouch. But here's the thing. When they do later go in to do, like, an auto seance with the dead guy that got stabbed by the Inquisitor, He
Flayed
And,
alive.
yeah, he ended up keeping them talking in an attempt to kill them. Like, I'll tell you
Yeah.
everything you want to know, but he's like, haha, it's a trap. They'll stay here and
Yeah.
die with me. I could maybe see Pontius Law doing the same thing. Where it's like, she can't actually really trick me here, but I'm willing to like give them a bit of a lead, in hopes that it will like push them to make some stupid decisions. Because the Inquisition knows what the Necrotouch is. If I drop this word to them, they'll mobilize and like that'll work into our plan somehow.
It sure didn't. What a backfire.
Yeah.
Way to go, man. You
Well,
sure won.
It summoned the evil Inquisitor. Like it got them involved.
Yeah.
By
And
that was maybe something Pontius Law wanted. He was like working with the evil Inquisitor, and it's like, okay, they've found it, but they like abandoned me, and now I'm stuck as a prisoner of the Inquisition. What can I do to get my inquisitorial allies to show up? Drop the word Necrotouch.
yeah, that's true. That'll work.
So that's, I don't know, maybe one way to look at that scene. But yeah, all of that happened off screen. The Beckwin being like, I can get you out of here. No, you can't.
Yeah. I'm a secret bad guy. Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, they wanted to do it. Abnett wanted the reader to wonder who was talking to Pontius.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
Who's moving the coffin or whatever it is, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so they don't give us any help with it until the very end where you're like, holy crap. Like, Beckwin's a bad person after all. And then it's like immediate flip.
Right.
Like, nope, she's
Well-
working for me. It's like, oh, all right, there's a little whiplash there.
Here's the problem with that. We know that Pontius Law is an immense psychic pressure because he knocked out Gregor at one point back in the catacombs before the fighting pit.
Yeah, and he tries to kill them later.
Right. But we
Right.
know the only person who could go up to Pontius and not be immediately like warp killed or possessed or who knows what this is Beckwin. She's the only pariah on the ship.
Fair point.
Yeah.
That's true. Yeah, I don't know. I was thinking maybe somebody could get close to it and be like, I know some secret chaos code word that would have him just like
maybe.
put his guard down a little bit.
The secret
right?
handshake. Right.
I'm not going to kill you immediately. I will listen to you, right? I don't know.
Yeah.
Don't know. Yeah, pretty fun time.
Fun time. And all these characters will live happily ever after.
Because it's 40K.
Mm-hmm. Precisely.
Mm-hmm.
That's yep, that's Xenos.
That's it.
That's Xenos.
Yep, sure is.
I
That's
mean-
Xenos. Oh, I was wondering, what's your theory about why the Xenos like gave up on life at the end there? Like they're running through trying to find the Necrotouch, and the slave aliens are just like murdering the initial Xenos race, and they're like, "It's cool, I guess. I guess we'll all get stabbed to death. I'm not worried about it."
The slave Xenos?
Yeah.
So there's the Saruthi.
Does Saruthi have either a slave class or another species of aliens that they have enslaved?
Did they?
The heck? Did you skip like chapters?
No.
Goodness gracious.
They have
Search
no.
for the word slave.
They are described as a somewhat
here it is.
arachnoid or crustacean with 5 limbs.
So they're running around trying to find the Necrotouch.
Yeah. Hold on.
I wondered if the pitiful white things that were
Yes.
a separate race enslaved by the Saruthi, the invasion, it seemed, had freed them to turn on their owners and butcher them. The slave things offered us no threat. They didn't even appear to notice the humans moving among them. With silent, methodical determination, they mutilated the bodies of the Saruthi.
So they mutilated the bodies. I think
Yes.
that was freed slaves doing some like desecration of their former masters.
Totally, but there is another part there.
I must have missed these lines when I was
Okay.
reading. This happens sometimes.
Hold on a second then. Saruthi, scroll down.
Oh man, I'm seriously still bleeding.
Here it is. In another chamber, an oval dish with tessellated tiles and a strangely warm atmosphere, living Saruthi milled aimlessly in their hundreds. Some had lost stilts and were limping. Others lay in trembling masses, their skulls flopped back on their bodies. As we watched, white slave things lumbered into the chamber through another tetragate and began to twist apart and maul the Saruthi one by one with the calm, methodical motions of insects. The Saruthi offered no resistance. The story was repeated in another chamber. Saruthi lay dead or meandering without purpose, freed slaves finding them by touch and then dismembering them. Like, what the hell?
I think that's just Dan Abnett being like, look at the crazy chaos shit they do, you know?
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
a part of what like is so creepy about these people is that they are asymmetrical, and all of their designs, and they have like a grasp of the fourth dimension, and so they make really weird landscapes that don't, like, if you walk in a straight line you'll end up zigzagging, just because that's how the universe works for these people, right? Like they don't see or smell or taste or touch, but they, you know, how do they read the necroshoots? They did it somehow, right? I think
Right.
that is Dan Abnett being like, look at the weird, crazy chaos shit, that maybe they kill each other, and the reason why they have like asymmetrical number of arms or legs is that they're like building new people from bits of the old ones, and they're just like, 3 arms sounds great.
5 legs, cool.
Four
Yeah.
wings, well, not 4 wings, that's an even number of wings.
You
7
have one
wings.
job, Omicron.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
that's my guess. I completely
Fair
missed
enough.
what must have been 4 whole sentences in this audiobook.
Uh-huh.
What did you think about the man with the blank eyes?
Ooh. That was haunting
Gregor.
in dreams before
Yeah.
he showed up. Yeah.
I mean, do you
I
remember
don't
his?
know.
Do you remember his name?
Nope.
Cherubael.
Sure. Fair enough.
I mean, you don't remember that. That's okay. So after like the like this in the audiobook, it was like right after like, this book was written for Games Workshop by Heavy Entertainment. Audible hopes you've enjoyed this program, and then it's like post-credits scene, you know, where
Yeah.
there's a scene where there's some like Inquisitors doing some stuff, and it's all like off a picked capture, and Cherubael's there, and he's talking about like he's like fighting them and killing them, and there's like a guy with like a thunder hammer. Did you not get this?
I don't know if I got this.
Oh, maybe you haven't finished the book. See if there's
There's
something.
an epilogue.
Yeah.
I got that. And then it says about the author.
Is there anything after that?
No.
Oh.
Dude, they skipped it.
Audiobook Xenos epilogue. I just finished listening to the audiobook of Xenos. There was a registration with fragments of a scene with the man with blank eyes doing some killing. Yeah.
Yeah, in my book, it goes from 56 Ezar, the planet dies because they nuke it. And then it goes epilogue, and it's 40 weeks back home. And he looked over and he thought about what happened, and he said, I'll find Cherubiel's master.
Okay.
And he makes promises, and then it's over.
So in the audiobook, there's like a little epilogue where it's presented as like an inquisitor who like needs to like register their inquisitorial ID at the computer, and then they're pulling up records, and one of them is a picked capture of like an event where there's an inquisitor called Lugenbrow who's like searching for someone, and his like retinue is like doing something, right?
Yeah.
And I've just found like a Reddit post explaining it, but apparently it's a recording of the last encounter of a renegade called Quicksauce. After Inquisitor Lugenbrow hunts him down, but is instead killed by Cherubiel.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
So Cherubiel is kind of a big deal in the next couple of books, so I thought I'd get you a picture on it.
Appreciate it. Yeah, that's weird. It's not in the ebook.
Yeah. Just in the
I didn't
audiobook.
think it was important.
I guess not. Yeah.
Huh.
I'm sure it's on YouTube somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you gave me the general concept. I don't think we need it.
Well, it's just if you wanted to listen to it, you know, you could.
Listening to books. Heresy.
I think reading books is heresy. The spoken word vastly predates the written word.
Sure does.
Does it even count if you read a book? I don't know. All right. I think that's it. We're done with Xenos.
We're done with Xenos.
We're done with Xenos.
Moving on to book 2 of the trilogy.
Just like flavor, something that I wanted to mention, which is right at the start of the book, we have a character, like a companion of Gregor's, who basically dies immediately. She gets surrounded and stabbed a bunch. But Gregor has this moment where he's like realizing that he is really gonna miss her. And she's like, at one point, like stole one of his pistols and like scratched a bunch of gang tattoos onto it or something. Like, and
right. And then he uses it to kill the bad guy.
He uses it to kill the bad guy.
Yeah.
There's like, I think that's one of those times where if you just had that, it's really indicative of the kind of flavor that Dan Abnett can put into the world, like the world build, is that like Gregor was at first embarrassed to be drawing this pistol, but now realizes the honor that she had done for him in doing that.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah, that was good. It's like I was kind of sad that like she had to die for this.
Right.
You would have maybe feeling appreciated, but she's gone now. Now is the time to realize how important it is.
Well, I mean, so perhaps moving forward, it might be worth keeping in mind that a lot of what Gregor is going to be thinking is going to be done in the retrospective, where it's like, am I still...
so you're saying he didn't even realize the importance of it until like he's writing the book?
No, Gregor? No.
Okay.
I'm just saying Dan Abnett is maybe using that as a stepping stone to tell us that like Gregor is writing his memoirs or just like a journal or it's, I don't know, an account to the events. Who knows when and why. But I think moving forward, Gregor's going to be spending a lot of time thinking like, was his actions and the way he treated and dealt with things in the time right? Like, was he on the right side of the line? A lot of the conflict between the Inquisitors is like, are you a Amalathian or a Puritan or a Radical or a Herusian? All of these factions. And it's like he didn't realize kind of what it is he had and what he was doing with this pistol until it was too late. Until like, I think that is maybe going to be something you can like pin that in the back of your mind for moving forward for the rest, because like the next book is also in his tone, like it's in his first person, and you know, Gregor was compelled briefly to like hold on to the Necrotouch, and it's like, well, maybe if I just read a page, I'd be better off. I'd know better if we should destroy it or not. Yeah, that's all I'm saying. Keep that maybe in the back of your mind.
Okay, so I need to remember the fact that he was tempted by the Necrotouch.
No, you don't need to remember that. It's just that he's going to be examining the value of his actions, maybe, right?
I lost you there. Value of his what?
His actions, right? And like what he's been doing.
Oh, okay. That's fair.
Yeah.
I get that.
Yeah. Like he did with the pistol.
Yeah.
All right.
I just one last thing. Yeah. I do like that he kills a Chaos Space Marine by chucking the Necrotouch at it and being like, "This will keep you busy for a second," and then chopping his head off. Yeah. I was like, "Holy shit,
that's clever."
That's significantly more impressive than I think you're making it out to be.
Yeah.
And then he uses the flames gouting from the neck of the dead Chaos Marine to burn the Necrotouch. Badass.
Oh, it's
great
funny.
moment.
Yeah, that's great.
The guy in the Death Watch is like, so
how
did you kill a Chaos Marine? Not that I don't believe you. I just want to know the details.
Oh, the chaos. The Death Watch librarian drinks tea with his like little pinky finger.
Yeah.
Very funny.
Right. There's good stuff in this book.
Good stuff.
There's good stuff.
To contrast that, I watched an episode of terrible anime. Terrible. I'm like,
you do this a lot.
I do this.
Yeah.
So this show is called The Bogus Skill Fruit Master. Lets me eat as many of the skill fruits as I want, and then in parentheses, without dying. Because apparently these are poisonous, right? And so he gets...
It's not an isekai?
It is... Well, no, it's just a fantasy.
Incredible. Okay.
It's just fantasy. It's not isekai.
Yeah.
But basically,
Yeah.
everyone in this world eats one of these fruits and they get a skill, and that like determines their life. This guy gets the fruit master, which lets him grow fruit really well, and then he realizes he can just eat lots of these fruits, and get multiple
Fine.
skills. Right?
Yep.
There's a point in this episode where they're like, "Oh no, we have to eat fruits until we just get a good skill to help us fight this dragon." I'm like, why not throw 2 of these things down the dragon's throat? They kill everything that eats more than one. So just
Right.
throw some at the dragon and let it eat them. But
Metagaming.
Then they're
Yeah.
like, no, we have to like go through the Joker that he just broke his sword, but now he gets a skill that lets him boost the durability of his weapons. And he got a skill that is Cat Charmer or Sleep Fairy, and then
None of this is all that useful.
none of this.
Yeah.
It's like terrible, awful show. Don't watch it. It's garbage.
Deal.
Even by my standards, it's garbage. But
I need to get back to the Trillionaire game, don't I?
yeah, I mean they
You
took
think I do?
they took a couple weeks off after episode 12, like a mid-season break, but I think they're back, and I'm a couple of episodes behind at this point. So, but
Okay.
up to episode
But
12
you're
was
like
fine.
episodes ahead of me already, so.
Yeah, well, go watch it.
Yeah. All right, fine.
Or watch Solo Leveling. It's way better.
Oh.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Okay.
I've got some time this week.
Sure.
And football's over, so that helps.
Woo. Go Ohio State.
Go, hey, there you go. Look at who knows who won the college football championship.
I'm a big fan. Yep.
Uh-huh.
Big fan. Definitely another
Biggest.
podcast just didn't mention it. So
Nope, not even close. Not even one.
not even once.
Nope.
All right.
All right, sounds good.
Wrap it up.
Let's see, book, got the book.
Cut the book.
Okay, rad. All right, that's going to be it from us then. This has been Falcon Paladin Somicron coming at you with yet another edition of the Falcon Paladin Hour. You can find us on twitch.tv/Somicron or youtube.com/@Somicron, depending on which platform you prefer. You can also support the podcast at patreon.com/Somicron by pledging there or by buying merch at falconpaladin.store.
It's true.
Yeah, we'll be here in a week. More Warhammer stuff. Probably talking about anime, maybe StarCraft. Fingers are not crossed for that one. Not holding our breath. But who knows what the future holds. So that's about it. Thanks again for hanging out. And until next time, you take care of yourself. Bye.
Bye-bye.